sent this morning?
Yes, I did. I got your email.
Okay, awesome.
Charyse Williams, welcome to the Nurse Wellness Podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. Let's start by you telling our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on today. This is really a pleasure and an honor. So I do appreciate that. Let's see. So tell you a little bit. Wow, that's a loaded question. So as you mentioned, my name is Charyse Williams. I am a former ICU nurse. I've been a nurse for 25 years. That sounds like a very, very long time, but nurse for 25 years, worked in the ICU for about 8 or 10 years, something like that. And then I transitioned into education and then project management. That's when I actually started my first company, project management. And then what happened with me, which happens with a lot of people, especially super high achievers, right? We go all in with our careers, right? And so really for me, to the detriment of my health, I started having migraines out the wazoo. And I've had headaches since I was like 14, but they started coming more frequently and more intense, to the point where I was having like two migraines a week, debilitating migraines. Because I was so involved in my business. And at that point, I had two businesses actually. And traveling the country, but what happened was, again, because I was so consumed with my job, my business, I was not eating right. I was not taking care of myself. I was not sleeping. I was working sometimes 16, 18, 20 hours sometimes. And I found myself in a lot of pain, always tired, migraines, and I had like picked up like 80 extra pounds of weight. And I thought, oh Lord, we're in trouble now. We're in trouble. And so although my background is nursing and traditional healthcare, I knew whenever I would take medication, I always felt off, right? I never felt like myself, and I didn't like the side effects of the medications for the migraines or whatnot. So I started exploring holistic options. And I started to learn how we can use food as medicine. I started to learn, the importance of breath work and meditation and herbs and just lots of different holistic modalities. And I started using them. And lo and behold, I started dropping weight. My migraines disappeared. I literally have not had a migraine in over 2 years at this point. And that is unheard of for me, right? And so dropped 80 pounds initially. Like I said, migraines went away, energy came back through the roof, pain dissipated because the pain was because of the excess weight and because I just wasn't sleeping. I wasn't doing anything for myself, just basic things. And what was really interesting is that as I started to naturally heal my body, I started to just very organically share, like with my friends, my family, my colleagues, that type of thing. I'm like, oh, you should do this. You have a headache? Try some lavender or something. And then after a while, I thought, I love this. More people need to know this. And the people that I was sharing with were, a lot of them were my friends who were nurses. And I'm like, we don't know this stuff. And I found that I got so much joy from doing that. And so along the way, as I was learning all these different modalities to help heal my body, I would always, I love knowledge. I love learning. And so I would get all these little certifications along the way, not having any intention on doing anything with it, just for my own personal, benefit. And then I'll never forget, I was literally, this was 2017. I might forget the date, but I won't forget the experience. We were on vacation in Jamaica. I was sitting on my balcony, and I asked a question, and I heard a very distinct answer. And I said, okay, God, what am I supposed to be doing with all of this information that I've acquired? Is it just for me, which is fine. But there was something in me that said, no, you're supposed to be sharing this on a larger scale. And I said, what am I supposed to be doing? I'm the type of person, you got to hit me upside the head, like with the brick, and say, this is it. Like, I don't take hints very well. And very clearly, very calmly, very concisely, I heard, take them on the journey. I thought, okay, don't know exactly what that means, but okay. And so I did. I just started. I started one thing. Oh, actually, let me tell you this. But really, what happened right in that moment? Probably like not even 2 minutes later, I get a ding on my phone. I look at my phone, there is an email from meetup.com. I had joined this raw vegan meetup group in Houston, maybe a year prior. And the email said the organizer of this group has stepped down. And if no one steps in to be the organizer, we'll have to dismantle the group. And this is right after I said, what am I supposed to do with this, right? This information. I look at the phone, I clicked on the link. The group has like 1,100 people. I'm like, well, there's 1,100 people that are interested in holistic health. Literally right after I asked, what am I supposed to do? Right? Click the button. I said, okay, I'll be the organizer of the group. And then that's really how it all started. And things just started unfolding and, unfolding. People started showing up, opportunities started opening up, clients started coming. It was a pretty amazing process. And then what ended up happening along the way is, again, just very naturally, people would just reach out, like friends, colleagues would reach out. What are you doing? How are you doing this? And so then I started just unofficially kind of coaching and mentoring healthcare professionals on how to start their own business. So now I get the privilege to do both. I help women, high achieving women, I teach high achieving women how to heal their bodies with the foods that they eat, the thoughts that they think, and the words that they speak, so that they can release excess weight and, most importantly, prevent and reverse disease. And then on the other side, I get to help overworked, burnt out healthcare professionals who are wanting to really build something that's all their own, help them combine their expertise with their passion and their purpose to create an online business, a six-figure online business. So best of both worlds, best of both worlds. So that was the long version.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I want to know what the process of you making the decision to leave healthcare, to leave the ICU and really launch into entrepreneurship full time. Because, we all go to school, we want to help people, we want to serve. And as you know, school's not easy. It's not a cakewalk.
No, it's not.
But what made you, I want to kind of go back to that time when you made that decision.
Sure. So at that point in time in my life, I was working, as most nurses do, I was working a lot of hours, probably anywhere from 4 to 6 12-hour shifts a week in the ICU. And I was getting a little burned out, as most of us do. I was really getting tired of sacrifice. At the time, my kids were little. They were I didn't have kids when I first started nursing. And then at this point in time, they were, 4 and 6 or 2 and 4, something like that. So they were little. And I was like, gosh, I work night shift by choice. And I was like, I'm not seeing my kids, I'm not able to put my kids to bed only 2 or 3 days a week. And this kind of stinks. And so I was really, really starting to get a little restless. And then I remember distinctly, I remember exactly where I was standing in surgical ICU next to bed 22. I remember saying, well, let me take it back for a second, because when I first started nursing, the majority of the patients in the ICU that I worked in, they were 60s, 70s, 90s, even 100s, which is kind of what you expect, right? But at this point in time, when I'm standing in front of, in bed 22 in surgical ICU, I remember standing there, I started thinking, I said, we are doing something wrong. So we as a society, as a healthcare professionals, because the patients were 30s, 40s, in ICU, 50s. And I'm like, oh man, so we're doing something wrong, that our patients are getting younger, sicker, or they're getting sicker younger, right? And so that's when I knew, I'm like, okay, it doesn't align with what I want to do anymore. Coupled with the fact that, again, I was not seeing my family, I was really getting burned out. And not really feeling like I was really making a difference. Yes, I was keeping people alive. I mean, yeah, that's what you do in ICU. You keep them alive for 12 hours, right? More than that. But, in a nutshell, you don't want them to die on your shift, that's for sure. And they're critically ill. But I was like, I don't want people to get to this point. And so I didn't know what that looked like, but I just knew that was the kind of a defining moment for me. That's how I remember it so clearly, where I was and everything, because that's when I made the decision, okay, I need to do something different. That's when I actually transitioned to education, still healthcare, but education. Yeah. Nice. And then, I did, and I did that for a while at the same hospital. And then what I learned is that I could travel and do it in a consultative capacity instead of as an employee. And that always appealed to me, being my own boss. And so I decided to start a consulting company. First, it was education related. I would travel teaching physicians and nurses the EMR, whether it was Epic or Allscripts or Cerner, all of them. And then I ended up transitioning to project management because I really love managing that whole process. So it's one of the great things about nursing. You can do so much. You can do so much with nursing. So that was, to answer your question, that was what made me transition, was really just the realization that it wasn't quite in alignment with what I wanted to be doing anymore, because I wanted to be more on the preventative side and not so much, okay, now you're in ICU, let's get you better. Yeah, but how about we prevent you from going to ICU? How about we start there?
Yeah, it's so needed. And I think, with the pandemic, we're seeing the effects of that, right? That
Absolutely.
primary prevention, which we talk about it, but it's not really a thing.
Right. It's not really part of our healthcare model. It's not. And so, yeah. So, yep. So I decided I wanted to be on that side, that side of the equation.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And we have so many health and wellness coaches out there now. So it definitely is needed. But I would love to get your perspective, since you're out of the frame and you can see the picture now of nursing. So much is going on, as you know, right?
Yes.
With the pandemic, with stress, with nursing shortage, with capping salaries.
Yes.
So much going on. I would love to just get your perspective on what's going on with the profession. Because in my mind, the profession, we're in trouble.
We're in trouble.
We were in trouble before, but we are in trouble right now.
I would agree wholeheartedly. We are definitely in trouble. I think, last year, well, let's just say this, not only as a whole is the profession in trouble, I think even as the individual, the amount of nursing is already stressful. I don't care if you're in ICU, ER, I don't care what specialty it is. It's already stressful. You're responsible for lives, right? It's already stressful. Now, compounded with, this whole pandemic and all that's going on. And now you're exposing, yes, we always know we're at, we're exposing ourselves, we're potentially exposing ourselves to things. We know that, but this is a whole nother beast. So now you've got, already high stress situation. Now we've got this exposure to whatever we're calling it for politically, to be politically correct. We're exposed to all that's going on. And then we've got this whole fear that's, and then we've got this salary. It's a lot. It's a lot. And, last year, 2021, we've heard the term for the first time, the Great Resignation. Right. People were continuing to leave the workforce in droves because of all the things I just mentioned, and then some. And because a lot of us were forced to, depending on how you worked, even healthcare providers, a lot of healthcare providers, I have a lot of friends that are nurse practitioners. They went to more of a telehealth model, even doctors, went to a telehealth model. But I think the blessing in that is that we were able to see we don't have to necessarily, yes, there has to be someone on the front line. Absolutely has to be someone touching the patient, taking care of the patient. But there's a lot of things that can be done to still impact care while still keeping ourselves safe through what we're doing right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, the Great Resignation. So my take on that is, looking at all the data and the articles, the reason for Great Resignation are really external stressors. It's things that we can't really control, right? That really start, developing internal stressors, right? So like,
absolutely.
Our negative thoughts, our, anxiety, depression, all those things are exacerbated by it. But what's so great about this time, even though it's not a great time, is that we're able to see our potential.
I love it.
And what I always say is that as nurses, when we're so stressed and burnt out, it's hard to really see that.
It is. It's very difficult to create in that space. And so what I do believe as well, I look at this, yes, it's a bad thing, but there's some beautiful things that have come from this experience that we've all been in together for the last 2 years. And that is, we're really getting into a space where we are allowing ourselves to tap into what really makes us happy, what really is our passion, what really is our purpose, and how can we serve in a different capacity? How can we serve at a greater level, right? And I love I tell you what, one of the things that just lights me up is when I'm on Instagram or Facebook or even LinkedIn for that matter. And I'm scrolling through and I see, people's names and their initials. It might say RN or BSN or MS or whatever. They're a nurse in some capacity, but they're building their own brand, right? They have their own business where I don't care what it is, from aesthetics to holistic health to functional medicine to there is a plethora of things. And that makes me so happy to see that nurses are really tapping into their gifts and using them in a different way. That's bringing them more joy.
Yes. And still contributing to society.
And still contribute to society, right? Still contributing to the betterment of people, to the health of people, physically, mentally, emotionally, all of the above. That's exciting to me. I love it. I love it because there's not been any time that I'm aware of in history that this has happened like this.
No, I mean, in times of disaster, what do you do with it, right? Do you make the best of it or do you let it swallow you, basically?
Yeah,
so a lot of nurses are doing amazing things in this world. What would you
I'm
tell
so proud of us.
Yes,
I'm so proud of us. Yeah.
We're doing amazing, but we need to get the other ones out there who have that potential so they could tap into their brilliance so they can impact the world. So I was going to ask, what would you tell a nurse who's out there listening, who's feeling bogged down, feeling stressed, like they don't have any more to give? What would you tell them?
Oh, that's such a great question. So what I would tell them is give themselves some space. And by space, I don't care if that means you got to go check yourself into a hotel for the night, or go drive out, maybe, drive out to a beach or a coast, or get some place where you can just be and think and really feel into what it is that what is your heart's desire. And it's okay. It's okay. I would say that I had the guilties for a little bit. The guilties. I was like, but I'm leaving nursing. And in that way, in that setting, because my whole life, I've known since 6th grade that I wanted to be a nurse. And so part of me was like, that imposter syndrome kind of kicks in too. Who am I to do something different? Life is good. But we've heard this before. The enemy of great is good. And so, life is good. Probably, maybe not for some, but for most, life is good for all intents and purposes, right? But why not elevate that to great? And so a lot of times, it's particularly as nurses, as moms, wives, and all the many hats that we wear, we actually lose touch with what's really important to us. We lose touch with ourselves. And so I ask this question all the time, just working with, women entrepreneurs or women who are moving into entrepreneurship, women, period. What do you like? What makes you happy? They're like, oh, okay, wait, let me think. And it takes a second. So I would tell that person, I would tell them, take a second, take 2 seconds, take as much time as you need to take yourself out of your environment. You can't do it. I don't think you can do it at home or do it at work. I think you need to change your scenery. Again, just get in your car and drive someplace, right? Check yourself into a hotel, do something. Go sit on the beach. It's cold, depending on where you are, but go sit someplace at a coffee shop even, and just engage them. I think one of the most beautiful gifts that we were born with, which is our imagination. Engage your imagination. What if there were no limits? Because really the only limits that there are is what we put on ourselves. So if there were no, exactly, it's mental. If there were no, what would you do? What would you like to do? If you could, what would you and no limits on it, and really dig into that. And know, because I run into this all the time, particularly working with healthcare professionals, you know enough. You are brilliant. We are brilliant women and men. When I'm speaking specifically to the women, we are brilliant. And we have probably been in our field of expertise 5, 10, 20, 25, 30 years. Do you know how much stuff you know? You know a lot of stuff. You are brilliant. And so a lot of times I know that like I said, the imposter syndrome kicks in. I don't know enough. I don't know. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You know enough to take a step. You don't know it all. We never know it all. And that's okay. You learn along the way, but you know enough to just take a step forward. Do what you do know and allow for the unfolding.
That's it. Allow space for that unfolding.
Yeah.
Allow space to think, to imagine. Give yourself space. That's it. Time and space. That's what.
Time and space. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's
So
amazing.
true.
That's amazing. And let's talk a little bit more about your business, because I want to kind of know more about, tell us the name of your business. Tell us
Yep.
your mission. Tell us,
Tell us what?
A little juice.
Yeah. Sure. So the name of my company is Green and Gorgeous. And I mentioned that there are two arms. One is holistic health coaching, where I work with, I have private one-on-one clients as well as a group coaching program. And it's all around holistic health. It's all around helping reverse disease. It's really around self-care, and not in the manicure, pedicure, massage. No, eating, feeding yourself, hydrating yourself, breathing. We forget about how important breathing is. That's one of the things. We can only go seconds without breathing, really. And so, but being intentional about your breath. But so that's the one side. Love that. Clients and one of the main focuses is helping women rebuild their health so that they don't need medication. So a lot of my clients come to me, they have diabetes, they have high blood pressure, and we're able to get down their blood pressure, eliminate their diabetes. One of my clients now, she came to me, her hemoglobin A1C was 11, and now it is 6.9. And that was after about, I think 4 months. So lots of great healing going on over there in that space. And then in the other space, working with women who are ready to really embrace their gifts, their talents, their expertise, their many years of expertise, and wanting to really pivot and create something that's all their own online, combining their expertise and their passion and their purpose and monetizing that.
Now, what if someone wants to get into being healthy, right? So your first arm, right, of just being healthy and taking care of self. And I know you go live and you're in the kitchen. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I go live every week. That's always so fun. I'm kind of sad I'm going to miss that today. I'm going to miss that this week, but I go live every week inside of my private community, Facebook community. And I'm always making something quick because I don't like to be in the kitchen that much. And a lot of people think, oh my gosh, eating healthier is going to take all day. It doesn't have to. Most of everything that I make takes 15 minutes or less. Most things take about 7 to 10 minutes, whether that's dessert or whether that's a actual meal. And so what I do every week, I alternate in the kitchen. I have what's called, it's my Eat to Live show. Eat to Live. And I do that every week, alternating something sweet with something savory. So this week would have been, I actually was going to do chocolate covered strawberries, a healthy chocolate that takes 7 minutes max to make. But I have to reschedule it for next week. So anyway, but yeah, we do all kinds of really fun things like chocolate covered strawberries as a snack. One of my favorite things to make is a pineapple coconut mango tart. It's good. If you like peach cobbler, you'll love this. And it's totally healthy, totally healing. Everything is whole foods. And it's super simple and quick to make. It's delicious. It is so doggone good. It's crazy. And then we make things like a couple weeks ago, I made a pesto zoodles. So you know what zoodles are?
No.
They're like zucchini noodles. So you take a zucchini and use a spiralizer to spiral them in the shape of noodles, and then a really creamy, delicious pesto sauce. Gosh, we make so many great things. Avocado stuffed portobello mushrooms. That's one of my favorites. That's everyone's favorite. Even my husband, who's not vegetarian or vegan, he's like, "Can you make some of that mushroom stuff?" I'm like, "Yes, I can. I gotcha." So, and again, less than 10 minutes. So there's so many things that you can make and eat healthy. You can eat healthy quickly, and it doesn't have to be costly either. That's a really big misconception.
Yeah. And what's the name of your community on Facebook?
Holistic Health and Empowerment Community. Holistic Health and Empowerment Community. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And can you give us 3 benefits of being vegan?
Absolutely. There's a preponderance of evidence that shows number one, decrease in heart disease. Unfortunately, I don't even know where it is now up in terms of the numbers. It's like one of the top three: cancer, heart disease, and unfortunately diabetes is way up there as well. I think those are the top three now: cancer, heart disease, and diabetes, or metabolic disease, which is horrible. So plant-based. So number one, definitely. No, let me actually clarify this. There's a lot of junk food, plant-based junk food. So that is not what we're talking about here. There's lots of highly processed plant-based foods. A whole nother discussion. But if we're talking about whole food, plant-based, then yes, number one, you're going to get energy through the roof. So if you're out there and you're like, oh my God, like you're having to get through your day with several pots of coffee or several cups of coffee and sugar, and you have that crash at 3 o'clock and you're like, oh, let me eat something. Plant-based, whole foods, plant-based, the first thing you'll see immediately, increase in energy, no doubt about it. Another thing you'll see, again, whole food, plant-based, decrease in weight. It just happens naturally. Right? Because you've taken out all that processed stuff that your body does not know what to do with that. If you can't pronounce it, I always say, if you can't pronounce it, don't put it in your body, because your body doesn't know what to do with it. And it looks at it as a toxin, and your body is not going to release weight. Your body's not going to be able to heal with all these toxins. All right. So, what did I start with? Weight, decrease your risk for heart disease, all disease for that matter. Decrease weight and increased energy. I mean, and I don't know who don't want any of those three things. And it doesn't have to be all or nothing. A lot of people are like, well, I got to stick with my chicken, whatever it is. Okay. What if you just did, we hear Pareto's principle, 80-20 rule, right? What if we just did 80-20? So 80% of the time, eat whole food, plant-based. And that 20, if you want to have a fried pork chop, I mean, I don't say, I would still recommend not, but if that's what you want to do with your 20%, go for it. I have a friend that she's like, I start every day with bacon. I'm like, number one, that's not a good idea, right? Like, I mean, we all know this. No one thinks it's a great idea to start your day with bacon every single day, right? But I said, you know what, honestly, if that's how you want to start, if that's how you want to use up your 20%, more power to you. What you'll find is once you do start like kind of shift to an 80-20, your taste buds evolve, your taste buds change, your body, you notice how that 20% of food affects your body. You're like, oh, like I feel sluggish, I'm bloated, my eyes are puffy, just mental clarity is not there. And so you kind of very organically start to say, maybe not, maybe I won't do so much. Yeah, but go for 80-20. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Shoot, go for 50-50. Start someplace.
Right.
Start someplace.
Yeah. Commit to something.
Commit to something.
Commit
to something. Yeah.
Yeah. So Charyse, before we wrap up, can you tell people how to get in contact with you? And then I want to take you through a rapid fire before we end our time together.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah. So how can they get in touch with me? I am Charyse W on Facebook. I'm Charyse Williams and my name is at the bottom of the screen if you guys are actually watching this. If they're on a podcast, Charyse is spelled slightly different. It's with a CH. So Charyse Williams on Instagram, Charyse W on Facebook. And if you're on Facebook, of course, you can check out my community, Holistic Health and Empowerment Community.
Nice. Such an awesome community. Like I said, she has a beautiful kitchen. She's in there cooking and chefing it up. So
quickly.
Yeah. So please join her community. So let's get to the rapid fire. So answer, the question with the first thing that comes to your mind to answer the question or finish the sentence.
Okay, this ought to be fun.
Yes. Wellness means?
Life.
I know I'm stressed when?
I can't think.
My go-to stress management solution is?
Walking, getting outside.
Something people get wrong about me is?
Something people get wrong about me is, that's a good one. I had someone once tell me they thought I was unapproachable. I'm like, the approachable person ever. Yeah.
Awesome. One thing I learned about myself during the pandemic is?
Mm. How resilient I am and how creative I am.
Yes, awesome. And the last one is some quote or saying that gets me through when I'm down or stuck is.
Wow. I've got like so many flashing through my brain. I'll go with my staple. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. This was amazing, and we'll have to have you back.
Thank you. This was a pleasure. This was fun. I love the rapid fire one.
Yes.
I enjoyed the whole thing actually. So thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Charyse.
You're welcome.